Hey guys, it's Julia.
And Cody. And we're going to be talking about the movie Fahrenheit 451 and reviewing it.
So, a brief summary of Fahrenheit 451. It is set in a futuristic era and it's based around Guy Montag, and he is a firefighter. And a firefighter in this era doesn't put out fires, it actually starts fires. So, they are totally trying to erase learning and knowledge and books, and they're stuck in this technology world where basically all they care about is TV and sports and not so much about the learning aspects of anything. So that's the little summary of it. And Montag, along the way, his journey with how he comes to realize that maybe he is a bad guy and what he's doing isn't right.
So all in all, we gave the book a 3 out of 5 stars. We together thought it was an in-between, both good and bad of a movie. And we're going to be reviewing the 7 of the biggest differences we thought as partners, how the book and the movie are different or similar. And the first one is, we're going to start off with a bad thing. The movie didn't add Mildred in it, and we didn't like this part because it's hard to see how far the society, the normal person in this society, has drifted off from what we are now, and how they're sort of stupider and they're not as high of intelligence level as we are right now.
So we can see this. A clear way from this is one out of the book, actually, and it's on page 9 where Mildred goes, "It'll be even more fun when we can afford to have the fourth wall installed." And so that right there shows that a wall, a room usually has 4 walls. So having 4 of your 4 walls covered with TV screens is insane. You're not interacting with other people, you're interacting with these characters on the TV. And it shows how far gone society already is, because technology is all they care about. But in the movie, it's super hard to see that because there's nothing to compare anything to. You can't see that. You can't see how far gone they are. I mean, in the movie, you see TV screens up on buildings, but you don't necessarily see how engaged people are to that.
And then the second one, we didn't like how the movie didn't portray Clarice as a young innocent soul. She's in probably around her 20s. It didn't distinctively say in the movie how old she is, but we think she was about 20, and she was already stripped of her identity and years from her identity, and she was portrayed as an eel within their society, which is an eel in the background is not a good person in their society, so that's what they call them. And in the book, Clarice is 17 and crazy, she says, and it shows how she's still young and her whole life is still to be ahead of her, and she has a lot of learning to do because she likes learning, but in that society that's not what they want them. But she's different from everybody else.
And we also we also don't like how in the movie, in the book, Clarice brought out this different side of Montag, kind of brought out a younger side, because Montag grew up in a society where learning wasn't valued, where sports was valued. So when he met Clarice, and Clarice showed him how to catch raindrops with her mouth, or how to jump in brain puddles, stuff Montag never got the chance to do growing up. And that was kind of sad that we didn't get to see that in the movie, because I thought that was a important side to Montag, showing him how he's kind of waking up and realizing everything that he's missed out on. And so it's kind of Montag is stripped of finding himself. And we're also upset that they made in the movie Montag and Clarice have this intimate side, because in the book it was very a friendship kind of side. Clarice and Montag were friends. Clarice let Montag see a younger kind of world, her world, and what things look like to her. And so in the book, Clarice is this breath of fresh air for Montag, but in the movie it's a little sexual kind of tension.
There's a huge age gap in the book, which
yeah, but we don't like how it's portrayed in the movie.
Okay, and then the third one is we did like how the firemen went through schools in the movie and showed taught the kids on, they taught them poorly because it's obviously a bad thing. They taught the kids on like how books are bad and like thinking is outlawed and why it is, and that they shouldn't be wanting to think, because if you think, then there's going to be two sides to the story, and that'll make people unhappy, and their whole society is based on happiness. And if you don't give anyone any choice of or an opinion, then they can't be unhappy. Everyone has the same opinion, and then everyone is quote unquote happy.
Yeah.
And then we liked that it showed the firemen what they did when they weren't burning books, and how like what they really did in the society, and they weren't just burning books. They tried to like inform kids. They were kind of like guest speakers in schools.
The next thing we're going to talk about is how the Hound isn't in the movie. And we kind of think this is a little bit of a bad thing, considering the Hound in the book played such a big role, because it was kind of like building up to like what's going to happen, like when Montague would find the Hound at his door. And so we think that's kind of upsetting that wasn't brought into the movie, because first off, I think it'd be kind of cool to see like what they would have portrayed the Hound as. Like, the Hound has like syringes for teeth and can kill anything, and like has this 8 legs and has like this incredible scent and like can track down anybody. So it's kind of like disappointing that didn't get brought into the movie, because that probably would have been really cool. And we personally just didn't like how the filmmakers didn't put it in, because like I said, it just doesn't, in the book it was like good build up to what is going to happen, and we just didn't really get that in the movie.
And the next thing is that in the movie, we really liked how it showed what eels, or like how the eels live, or quote unquote eels. They lived like they had a very rough lifestyle in the movie. And like in a part, they showed Clarice giving a lady and like what looks to be like a newborn baby some milk, and the lady tells Clarice of like something that they were short on last week, and that it's very rough. It looks more like condensed, like they're in an abandoned apartment building and they're all like living together, trying to stay hidden and off the grid. And it really shows that the eels went through a rough time. And it's nice, or not nice, but it's nice that they showed how the eels went through a rough time, because they are fighting for what they believe in, and it shows that they are really passionate about what they believe in, and that what they think that the society is drifting off to, they know it's going to be bad, and it's keeps getting worse. But they constantly, they know what they're putting themselves into, and they're constantly putting themselves through this like bad living because of what they believe in. And so we liked how the movie showed how the eels live, and it doesn't just focus on like what they believe in. It shows how they like really live, and like what struggles they have to go to.
And so lastly, what we're going to talk about is how in the movie Montague has these kind of flashbacks of like his childhood and his dad, and we actually really like that aspect of this, because it is nice to see like Montague's background, because in the book, I mean, we didn't really get too much of like into his background, but in the movie it was nice to see like his dad himself was an eel. Like, he was a fireman, but he also got caught with books, and it's kind of nice to see that like that's kind of not like necessarily it's like programmed into Montague, but like he's always had this curiosity of like what's so bad, you know, kind of like he has these flashbacks of his dad getting taken away, of his dad's stuff getting burned, and I think it was just a good way to show like what his childhood was like, and I don't know, just to see further into Montague. Like, everyone has a reason, everything has like a why, and so like Montague just wanting to know more about books and like his dad, and like just that little dig deeper, I think, kind of thing. And that's our movie book review of Fahrenheit 451.